Hello there, and welcome to Autism Studies in the UK. My name is Tasha, and I'll be presenting on behalf of Learning Curve Group. I'm a dedicated flexible learning tutor with over 10 years worth of experience working alongside autistic individuals in both educational, home and community settings. I specialise in delivering autism-focused courses that promote understanding, inclusion and practical strategies for support. I hold a range of qualifications in health and social care with a strong emphasis on child services. I'm also qualified in the teaching sector, including Assessor Level certification, which enables me to support learners and professionals in achieving their own educational goals. With a strong foundation in neurodiversity-informed practice, I combine academic insight with real-world experience to create learning environments that are structured, empathetic and responsive to individual needs. I am passionate about empowering both autistic individuals and also support them whether through dedicated teaching, mentoring and professional development. I continue to advocate for inclusive education and is actively involved in shaping flexible learning pathways that reflect diverse ways in which people learn and thrive. What is autism? In the UK, autism is recognised as a lifelong developmental condition that affects how people communicate, interact with others and experience the world around them. Autism is considered a spectrum because it presents differently in each person. Some people may need significant support in daily life while others may live independently. Autism is considered as a disability under the Equality Act 2010. This means autistic people are entitled to reasonable adjustments in work, in education and when accessing services. For example, schools and universities must make reasonable adjustments. For example, extra time in exams and tailored support. The National Autistic Society is the largest UK charity supporting autistic people and campaigning for greater understanding and inclusion. Here is a video from the National Autistic Society explaining more around autism.
Autism is a lifelong disability which affects how people, like me, communicate and interact with the world. There are about 700,000 adults and children on the autism spectrum in the UK. And like everyone, each autistic person has their own strengths and challenges. But all of us have difficulties with communicating and interacting with other people. This could mean not speaking at all, needing longer to process information, or not understanding facial expressions. We also engage in repetitive behaviour, doing or thinking the same thing over and over. This is sometimes for fun, and sometimes to help deal with our anxiety. People on the autism spectrum can also find unexpected changes, however small, very distressing. And then there is sensory overload, where noise, smells, touch and bright lights become very painful and overwhelming. All these challenges can make the world feel very scary and hard to understand, and sometimes send us into physical and emotional meltdowns or shutdowns. It is very important that autistic people get help from an early age. But life can become very difficult if children or adults don't get the right support or understanding. Autistic children are 3 times more likely to be excluded from school. Only 1 in 6 autistic people in the UK have a full-time job. And over a third of autistic adults have reported serious mental health problems. The National Autistic Society is the UK's leading charity for autistic people. Since 1962, we have been changing society's attitudes and transforming individuals' lives. We want to create a society that works for autistic adults and children, and with your help, we can.
For autism studies in the UK, autism studies are very important because they help understand what autism is and how it affects people in different ways. The more we learn, the better we can support autistic individuals in everyday life, whether that's at school, at work, in healthcare, and this is what we aim to do within our courses here at Learning Curve. These studies help professionals spot early signs of autism, and more accurately, this means people can get help sooner, and which can make a big difference in their lives and allowing them to thrive. We look at the importance of early diagnosis within our first assessments here in our courses, and this helps guide us and professionals support the diagnosis process. Autism studies also raise awareness. They help people understand the challenges autistic individuals and their families face, and this can lead to more kindness and acceptance and less stigma. Finally, ongoing research helps us check if current policies are working. If not, it shows us what needs to be changed. The NHS Autism Research Strategy is a plan to improve how we understand and support people with autism. It focuses on using research to make real changes in services. The strategy supports research into ways to spot autism earlier, and as we know, an early diagnosis means people can get the right help sooner. The strategy encourages schools, workplaces and public services to be more autism friendly, so everyone feels included and supported. The NHS wants to involve autistic people, families, professionals and researchers in shaping their research. This helps make sure the work is useful and meaningful. It also focuses on training professionals so they understand autism better and can offer the best possible care. In 2022, the NHS released its 5-year autism research strategy, and their key aims are to state which areas of the NHS autism service provision in England are best reliable evidence and which areas require further research. It is to ensure there are a better fit between the evidence produced and the evidence gaps here in England. It also helps us facilitate the use of best current evidence when making decisions about autism services provided by and paid for by the NHS in England. We also have Centre for Applied Autism Research in the University of Bath. This is a group that studies autism and uses what they learn to help people in real life, especially schools and mental health services. They create teaching strategies that are based on research, which helps schools become more inclusive for autistic students. They train teachers so they understand autism better and know how to support their individuals. They also support mental health within the autistic community as they study ways to improve mental health for autistic people. They look at common issues like anxiety and depression and help develop support that works well for autistic individuals. We have used this research within our courses as we look at approaches that can support autistic individuals, such as visual aids and calm spaces within education settings. We look in depth at the person-centred approach, which is vital of autistic individuals in education settings as we meet their needs holistically. The key focuses of the University of Bath are focuses on research to help understand autistic strengths and their challenges. We include projects that include education, employment, mental health and the justice system. We offer school summer holidays and online support for autistic students and help with their transitions into university. As mentioned previously, we have the National Autistic Society, which is the UK's leading charity for autistic people. The National Autistic Society plays a vital role in supporting individuals and their families. It works with the key focuses of advocacy, diagnosis support and family guidance. The National Autistic Society helped create a Level 2 course that we deliver to students as it helps raise awareness of using correct terminology within the autistic sector. In terms of advocacy, the National Autistic Society actively campaigns for the rights of autistic people. It works with policymakers to improve laws and services within the education, employment and healthcare systems. Through public awareness campaigns, it challenges stereotypes and promotes acceptance, aiming to build a society where autistic individuals feel respected and included. When it comes to diagnosis support, the National Autistic Society helps families and individuals to understand what the autistic diagnosis actually means. It performs guidance and assessing formal support such as social care and education. The National Autistic Society offers a wide range of resources for families, from helplines and online advice, and to support local groups and provide training workshops. These services help families navigate challenges like behaviour management, accessing benefits and finding appropriate schooling. The National Autistic Society provides guidance on accessing formal support, employment and social care. According to the NICE guidelines, individuals should be assigned a key worker to help provide a personal support plan. The National Autistic Society helps families understand and advocate for this entitlement. They also offer resources for emotional and peer support, helping individuals and families navigate the psychological impact of the diagnosis. And finally, we have Autistica. This is the leading autism research campaign charity focused through science and innovation. Their mission is to drive scientific breakthroughs that improve the lives of autistic people. They focus on research that leads to real-world impact, aiming to understand autism better and create practical solutions for everyday challenges. They fund projects across key areas such as early diagnosis, mental health and employment. For example, they support studies that help identify autism earlier in life, which can lead to more timely and effective support. They can also invest in mental health research tailored to autistic individuals. They recognise that traditional approaches often fall short. In employment, Autistica backs initiatives that explore how workplaces can be more inclusive and how autistic people can thrive professionally. Their projects include employment readiness programs for autistic youth, accessible public transport research to improve neurodivergent experiences, mental health tools like the Molehill Mountain app for anxiety self-management. All of these research programs all work together in a complementary way to improve the lives of autistic individuals through research, advocacy and practical support. Together, these organisations form a network where research involves practice and drives policy and lived-in experiences. It helps create a robust training programme for us all to educate ourselves in further regarding to autism. Now we're moving on to treatment and intervention methods. And as we know, autism is a lifelong condition, and it's about interventions, not about curing autism, but supporting individuals to thrive. It's important to know approaches are not intended to cure autism, as autism is a natural part of who the individual is. Instead, interventions focus on building person's strengths, addressing any specific challenges and supporting their overall well-being and development. We provide communication-based interventions. This includes verbal and non-verbal support. We have a wide range of services that help support autistic individuals with this, such as speech and language therapy. This helps social communication and language development. We also use picture exchange systems for non-verbal communication. We look at behaviour and developmental therapies such as applied behaviour analysis and positive behaviour support. This focuses on understanding and improving behaviours in a respectful, person-centred way, using a positive approach and working with those individual strengths. We also used play-based strategies for children, involving parents and teachers in structured play to support development. This can be Lego therapy or art therapy, depending on the child's needs. We look at mental health and any co-occurring conditions that often present in autism. This is why interventions in place are tailored to support the individual's needs. The main co-occurring conditions are anxiety, depression, and ADHD. Throughout our courses here at Learning Curve, we cover a wide range of these topics through our Level 2 and Level 3 courses, with whole assessments focusing on these needs. We also have the local offer. This is a resource provided by local authorities within the UK that sets out information about the support services available for children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities in their area. The local offer helps families easily find and understand what support is available for their child, including education, health and social care, and leisure activities. It provides clear information so families can make informed choices and access the right support that is suitable for their needs. For professionals, the local offer is a valuable tool to understand the range of services available locally, any support referrals to external agencies, and work within their families. It also helps professionals stay updated with best practice, providing training experiences. Every local authority must publish a local offer. The local offer tells you what support the local authority expects to be available for children and young people within the special educational needs. It must include information about education, healthcare provision. It should also tell you about training, employment and independent living for young people with special educational needs and/or disabilities. The local offer is there for children and young people, their parents and carers, practitioners and professionals. Educational processes related to the UK in the UK. So this is how we look at how autism is supported within our school system here in the UK. We're looking at the types of supports within our schools. Schools offer lots of different kinds of support for children and young people with autism, so they can feel comfortable, learn well and enjoy school life. One of the main types of support is having a one-to-one teaching assistant in the classroom who can give extra help with schoolwork and routines. Sometimes lessons and activities need to be changed a little bit to suit the person's needs. This is called making reasonable adjustments. Some schools have special quiet spaces where students can go if they feel overwhelmed or need a break. There are social skills groups where children can practice making friends and being part of the community. Many schools work closely with parents and outside specialists such as speech and language therapists or autism specialists to make sure the right support is in place. Sometimes students can have an educational healthcare plan which sets out exactly what support they need in the education system. Special educational needs support in schools include tailored learning plans and classroom adjustments. Each autistic child will either have an SEN support plan or an education plan depending on the severity of autism. This is underpinned by the Children and Families Act 2014. An SEN support plan is differentiated teaching tailored to individuals' needs. This uses teaching assistants, specialist teachers, or external professionals. The Education Healthcare Plan is a legally binding document outlining the child's needs and the support required across education, healthcare, and social care. This includes more intensive and coordinated support, which includes therapies, assistive technology, or placement in special educational settings. This is reviewed annually with input from parents, professionals, and the school. We have two core educational frameworks here in the UK. We have the Centre Code of Practice. It's the law and guidance for supporting all children with extra needs, while the Autism Education Trust framework gives schools practical steps to make sure our autistic students feel welcome, understood and able to succeed. Special Educational Needs and Disabilities Code of Practice governs how schools and local authorities identify and support children with autism. This applies to children and young people aged 0 to 25 years. The Autism Education Trust School Standard Framework uses a whole school approach, embedding good practice within autism. Skills and responsibilities. Each educational setting has a SENCO, a Special Educational Needs Coordinator, who oversees SEN provision in schools. They coordinate with teachers, parents and external agencies to ensure records and reviews are maintained. SENCOs are the main people in school who make sure autistic children get the right support. They work with teachers to spot when a student may need extra support and help figure out exactly what support they need. SENCOs help create individual plans for autistic students, making sure lessons and activities are adapted to suit their needs. They also give advice and training to teachers and staff so everyone knows how to support autistic students in the best way. SENCOs talk to parents and keep them involved, making sure families know what's happening and can share their ideas. If extra help is needed, like speech and language therapy or advice from autism specialists, SENCOs arrange this to make sure everyone works together to provide that holistic support. Here at Learning Curve, we offer two courses that are dedicated to autism. We have the NCFE Level 2 Certificate in Autism, and that is the starting off course, which we look at various different topics. And then we have the NCF Level 3 Certificate in Understanding Autism, which is more in depth and is provided for professionals. The Level 2 course is covered in 3 assessments. In Assessment 1A, it's 5 questions long, and we look at what is autism, why is it a spectrum condition, and why is it a lifelong condition. And we look at the theories that support autism in there. In Assessment 1B is questions 6 to 38, so 32 questions within this assessment. And this is where we look at the diagnosis process. We look at the characteristics of autism and any co-occurring conditions and how we support those within the autistic community. We look at legislation, which I have mentioned throughout there, that underpins our autism approach. And we look at the person-centred approach, because as we know, it is a spectrum, every individual is unique, and this is where we put that tailored support in place. And we look at communication and social interaction. Assessment 2 is questions 1 to 53, and this is where we look at how sensory processing impacts the individual. We look at behaviours such as changes in routine and how this impacts the individual. We look at behaviour as a form of expression. As we know, we have underlying feelings that we may not be able to verbalise. We look at support for the family and how it impacts them. We look at how individuals are vulnerable and how we help keep them safeguarded to help them live an independent life. And we look at transitions and support into adulthood. We look at employment opportunities and the reasonable adjustments that can be made. We have the Level 3 Certificate in Autism, and this is split between 6 assessments. This is where we look at more in-depth support that can be tailored to the individual. In Assessment 1, we have 8 questions, and again, it's autism in context. We look at the history of autism and when it became the first diagnosable condition. We look at the diagnosis process in more detail. We look at the influences that affect the diagnosis and the advantages and disadvantages of the diagnosis, not just for the individual but their family. And we look at the characteristics that may occur. Assessment 2 is questions 9 to 26, and we look at positive behaviour. We look at the behaviours associated with autism and the importance of interpreting that behaviour. And we look at positive and negative behaviour and the impact of this not only on the individual but the others around them. And we look at any triggers and patterns of behaviour so we can plan that behavioural support for the individual. Assessment 3 is questions 26 to 38. And this is where we look at understanding and supporting the transitions for autistic individuals. So it's looking at how to start school, looking at the life events and transitions in there and the challenges they may face. And we look at how to support the child or young person within autism into that transition into adulthood and what agencies will be available to support there as well. Assessment 4 is questions 1 to 7, and we look at the therapeutic interventions which we covered earlier in the session and what the support is there available for them and how this helps the individual and the disadvantages and advantages of each one in there and the barriers to overcome them. In assessment 5 is questions 8 to 20, and this is looking at communication and social interaction and how this impacts individuals with autism. As we know, non-verbal communication is just as important as that verbal communication in there. And finally, we have assessment 6, which is questions 21 to 37, and we look at safeguarding in autism. As we know, we look at the safeguarding concerns that can be made them vulnerable, we look at indicators of abuse and harm, and we look at that self-protection and how we can build the resilience in the autistic individual. As we know, they can be vulnerable, so we want them to live a healthy and fulfilled life as independently as possible, and that is the key message that we bring to our courses here in Learning Curve. Thank you very much for your time.